Hey guys, what's going on? So this is one of two videos that I'm going to be making today. They dropped some really big news about magic orbs, and I'm going to go into that, but I thought I'd make this separate video to start with, because as you can see, I am no longer a official Rush Royale YouTube content creator. I am still obviously a Rush Royale YouTube content creator, and I have an entire video based on that entire process and that entire, my reasoning, so I won't necessarily go into that. But I did want to say that, yes, it is official. I have to watch ads. Ads are a thing again. Ads are a real thing again, and that's pretty much the only change. I didn't think I was gonna make an official video stating this, because I knew that it was eventually going to happen. This was supposed to happen back in December. Back in December, I wrote to the higher ups in a Discord message, and I told them I don't want to be a content creator anymore. And if you want to go into those reasonings, I have an entire video about it. You can go find it on my channel. And it's taken them this long. I told two people, and it's taken them this long to take this away. So from November, December, end of November, beginning of December, I told them this, and they just never took it away. They kicked me out of the Discord chat. But then they still didn't take away my bonus, my bonus is one, using a creator code, which basically almost nobody used anyway, and it was an incredibly hard and difficult thing to promote to begin with, because you can't convince people to buy things in this game, because everybody wants everything for free, and we will get to that. But it was and the people that do buy into this game, they probably already support bigger content creators like a Godlike Mike or a Friend Gaming. I think it's really funny that people probably still use a Friend Gaming's code, and that's probably why he continues to just randomly pump out a YouTube video every so often. I have to believe that there is a specific amount of YouTube content for this game that you have to, or a Twitch stream that you have to do in order for them to allow you to have the code. And he's doing whatever that bare minimum is. He's doing that. He's not doing it because he likes doing it, because I know that he hates it. And he's just putting out the lowest content that he possibly can to keep the creator code. But hey, you know what? When you're making $100,000 every month, no, I don't know how much he's making. But when you're making as much as he is, I get it. I get keeping the creator code. I'm just saying for myself, not really anybody was using my creator code, and most of the money that I make is off of YouTube anyway. And yet there were still always people that love to say that I'm only saying my opinion about whatever I'm saying, or I'm defending the game because they're paying me. And they have never paid me any more than what YouTube has paid me. And so if this is your first video, and this is probably not your first video, I trust that you're somebody who follows me all the time. I don't get a lot of new subscribers anymore. But if this is your first video, this is a great first video for you, as an introduction to me and my personality and my, what I do here. What I do here is I like to shit on people. I like to shit on dumb people. And let me give you a little history lesson about me. I love when somebody writes a wall of text, when you scroll through here, there's an appropriate amount of text, as a comment. But when it starts to get into the wall of text, I'm just oh, I gotta read this. This could just be conversation. It's just two people going back and forth, right? But when it gets to the wall of text, that's, this yup, right? When it starts to become this length of text, I'm just I gotta read this. And I have this thing about me. I have this thing about me, and I hate it, and YouTube people hate it. But I have this thing about me that when people say dumb shit, I have to call them out for it. I have to go into their mind and be like, so this is what you're saying. You think that this is correct. I want to hear you say it. You think that this is correct. When they're obviously saying something dumb, right? Like flat earthers. Everybody that's following me that's a flat earther is going to unsubscribe to me. Flat earthers. People, like an entire group of people that believe that the earth is actually flat, and everything that we've seen from space, like that shows that the earth is round, that is all fabricated and it's false. And I take it upon myself to be like, no, you're the idiot. You're being dumb. And then they come at me and they're like, no, you're wrong. And I'm like, no, you're actually wrong. Because there's facts. There's factual evidence. There's evidence against what you're saying. This is not an opinion. It is in your own way. It is your how you view the world. And you could say it's your opinion, but there are factual things in this argument. It's like saying that this game should be free. That is an opinion. That is surely an opinion that you can have. You could say that I am poor and, this game should be free and everything should be free, right? And that's your opinion. That's just something that you're saying. But I'm going to come at you in a factual way. And tell you how wrong that is, because that's not an opinion. That's you trying to change a system and not understanding why the system is the way it is. An opinion sounds like I love Demon Hunter. Demon Hunter is my favorite unit. That's an opinion. I can't argue that against, I can't say anything to you that is going to change your opinion that Demon Hunter is your favorite unit. Because that in and of itself is an opinion. I can't say, no, it's not. That's not your favorite. Your favorite is Phoenix. That's not an argument, right? Because you're saying an opinion. That doesn't make sense if I say that. If you say Demon Hunter is the best unit, that is now no longer your opinion. You're saying that as a fact, at which point I'm going to use factual evidence against you. This is how I run my YouTube channel. And people that love to comment, generally what I've seen is that people that love to comment on YouTube videos normally have these kinds of opinions about the game. Something that they think is a fact, and in fact, it's not. It's not a fact. And most of the time, they're usually wrong. Every so often, I get like very easy comments that I will respond to, like, hey, what is your, what do you think about this? And then I'll say this is what I think about this. And then, we'll move on with our day, right? But every so often, I'll get somebody that like goes and does a back and forth with me. And this is a person, as an example, obviously not on my YouTube channel, but this is an example of something that I love to do. I love to try to understand how people think the way that they think. And if you decide to comment on my actual YouTube channel, just understand that this is probably what I'm going to do to you. And this has nothing to do with me being associated with the official Rush Royale, the Rush Royale game. I have almost never been paid by them. Like I said, most of my money that I've ever made off of Rush Royale has been through YouTube. If anything, I am a YouTube shill. I defend YouTube because YouTube pays me, if anything, right? But people will say, when I try to defend Rush Royale, that, oh, you're only saying that because you're getting paid by Rush Royale. They're paying you to say this. You're only saying this because you don't want to lose all the money that they're giving you. And I'm telling you right now, as a person who now needs to watch ads, they're not, I need you to understand, they are not giving me anything anymore. The little amount that I got off of a creator code, they're not giving me that anymore. free ads, they're not giving that to me anymore. They are giving me nothing to say this. I'm going to tell you that this person is shitty because that is what they are. And that is my opinion. My opinion is that this person is a shitty person. Their idea, I'm sorry, I don't know this person. That their argument is a shitty argument. So this person says, bro, I agree. Let's start here. Let me start here. Anybody who uses the word bro in an argument, I immediately discredit them. If you don't know anything about me, a lot of people were doing this, like when I first started my channel, and they kept saying, hey, bro, what is your opinion on this, bro? And if you've never watched Hawkeye, the MCU show with Kate Bishop, there is the tracksuit mafia in Hawkeye, and their like comedic thing that they do is they say bro all the time. They just go, hey bro, what are you doing, bro? You know, and that's all I hear whenever anybody uses the word bro. It's just it shows me like the age that you are and like the level of thinking that you have whenever you start the word with bro. And I get that people use it, and I will never respect anybody that does. It is just one of those things. It would be like if you started, you know, like all of the new school, like, you know, terminology that kids use, the kiddos use today, like skibbity toilet and, you know, like Riz, you know, it would be like if you used that in your normal speech about, you know, something that you hated. Like, like the new system, it's all cap. You know, like they don't have any Riz up there at the Rush Royale YouTube, you know, at the Rush Royale company. They don't have any Riz, you know, like that's how I feel whenever I read the word bro, like just as an opener. Bro, I agree. Before the days of summoning, bartering your rune tokens for glutton chests, orb trading experiments, I miss the days of legendaries plus crystals, even though crystals were hard to come by. Let's start there, because I know where this conversation is going. This person says that they like the system of legendaries plus crystals, even though crystals were hard to come by. Currently, the system is legendaries plus orbs, and orbs are reasonably easy to get. But they like the system, as said right here, they liked the system of orbs and crystals, even though, as in, I know that this is a thing, even though crystals are hard to come by. They like that system. Let's take that singular sentence right here. I miss the days of legendaries plus crystals, even though crystals were hard to come by. Just file that away. File that away in your memory bank of who this person is. I could even get on board with the experiment lab, as it was a card for a more it was a card for a more useful card, but you do realize all these new features we're adding as a money scheme. Now, anybody who uses the word money scheme, those greedy Rush Royale developers, they're greedy and all they care about is money. This is another thing that I hate when people say. The idea that they are greedy and that all they care about is money. Tell me any place that you go to that doesn't care about money, that doesn't care about making money. Tell me a business that doesn't care about making money. That if you were to go to their CEO and ask them, do you care about making money? That they would say, no, we don't care about making money. Things may be cheap, right? And maybe things are cheap, but they still care about making money. Every business is about making money. This is not a specific Rush Royale thing. They are not a greedy, money-hungry company. Every company is a greedy, money-hungry company. And that greedy, money-hungry company, to you, is based on whether or not you find value in what they are selling. Because if you don't find value in what they are selling and trying to sell it to you at that specific price, then you could look at that and be like, oh, they're just being greedy, right? I used to live in California, and I used to have a Disney pass, a Disneyland pass for most of my life, pretty much all of my life, minus like a couple of years. There was a couple of years, I mean, outside of COVID, there was a couple of years in my life that I did not have a Disneyland pass. But for the majority of my life, I had a Disneyland pass. And whether or not my mom paid for it or I paid for it, I had a Disneyland pass. Disneyland is the most expensive park in all of the different parks. Knott's Berry Farm, Universal Studios, SeaWorld, all of the parks have all of the other parks have Six Flags, all of the other parks have discounted rates for their theme parks. And Disneyland was always the most expensive. But I went all the time, and my friends went all the time. And there was you could pay monthly. It was like $50 a month or whatever. And that value was fine to me because I did it all the time. Now that got to a point where it became too expensive for what I was doing, but that's not me saying like, oh, Disneyland is a greedy company, right? That they have just now, it is now just too much for what I make. I could go to Knott's Berry Farm, but I don't want to go to Knott's Berry Farm. I could go for a cheaper SeaWorld pass, but I didn't want to go to SeaWorld. Disneyland was important to me, and at a certain point I was like, I can't pay this anymore. I will wait for when they lower prices, or they will not, and I will try to make more money. And that is a me thing. At a certain point, it's just a you thing. Because if other people are willing to pay for that, at that price point, that's just the new price point. Companies will sell you based on demand. You could go to SeaWorld for, I believe, I want to say $200. It might even be less, because I believe they had a deal at some point that was buy a day, get a year free. Disneyland was like $1,500 for a pass. And I believe SeaWorld was like buy a day, get a year free. But I didn't want to go to SeaWorld. That wouldn't do anything for me. I wanted to go to Disneyland. And if the demand is there, a company will charge you whatever they think that they can get. And that's not them being greedy, that's supply and demand. And that's just how money works. When you go to the store and there is a brand named thing, or a, store brand thing like Target, and you have toothpaste for $5, but there is the Market Pantry toothpaste for $2.50. If you don't care about toothpaste, you can easily pay $2.50, and it's cheaper. But then there's going to be that part of somebody else that will say, oh, that's worse quality. I'm going to buy Crest for $5. And if a toothpaste company knows that you can pay $5 and that's fine, then they will make it $5. That's not greed. That's supply and demand. A company will charge you what they feel like you will probably pay, or what the majority of people will pay. Now, if Crest finds that $5 is too expensive and nobody is buying it, then they'll lower the price. But if a majority of people do, then it stays there. Because that is what they've determined that most people who are paying into this thing are willing to pay. If anything, it's that people shouldn't buy it at that price. Because if everybody stopped, then they would make it lower. So it's not about a company being greedy, it's about people being dumb, if anything. If anything, it's about people being dumb and people being okay with that price. All these new features were added as a money scheme. Instead of spending on just legendaries, people will see orbs for sale or bells and buy them. And it's a way for the game to give worse rewards from passes. Like, congrats, you got level 55 of the season pass. Here's 2 bells. I don't even think is that real? I can check this. Level 55 of the pass. Here's 2 bells. Is that a factual statement? That's not even a factual statement. Level 55 of the pass on both the free side and the paid side give you 100 to 1,000 magic dust. 100 magic dust is at the lowest, is 1/10 of a legendary. Feels better than 2 bells. If you're gonna say something, like, at the very least, understand that people can fact check you. My favorite time. Okay, here's the crux of this entire argument. My favorite time was when they removed crystals, increased the amount you need to upgrade each card, and just didn't have an orb crystal mechanic involved. Shame it was so short-lived. What he's talking about is the 74 count system. If you go back into my YouTube, there was a point when they changed the system to the 74 count system. And what that was, okay, so originally it was magic crystals, and then they changed it to the 74 count system, and then they changed it to what it currently is, which is the magic orb system. The 74 count system, and why I specifically called it that, is because you needed 74 copies of every single unit every single legendary unit in order to max it out. I don't remember the numbers. You can go back in my YouTube and check, but basically you needed 74 copies of a singular unit in order to max that unit from 7 to 15. And it was just increasing, it was just increasing in more and more ways. So at the highest, it was like you need 15 copies, then you need 16 copies, then you need 17 copies. It was nutso. Now, to alleviate that, what they did was they gave you more access to random legendaries. So, for example, during the what you were getting as a season reward, and understand that this is a full season reward. Currently, if you are in Division 8, you are getting 2 choose legendaries, and you're getting 3 random legendaries. Back in the 74 count system, per season, at max, if you got to 7K trophies, you were getting like 13 legendaries. Most of them were random, but you were getting 13 legendaries, and the entire idea behind it was that they wanted more people to get to be able to upgrade other things other than just a singular deck. Because if you had, if you were getting so much of everything that you had like 4 meteor shards and 5 corsairs and 8, like demon hunters, right? And you weren't able to you could like throw them into laboratory of experiments and get what you wanted, but you were getting so much of everything that you were like, oh, 4 demonologists, I guess I'll upgrade my demonologist. Oh, 5 meteors, I guess I'll upgrade my meteor. And their idea was that they wanted to make people stop caring about a specific unit that they then hated because it wasn't good. And then they wanted everybody to basically equalize all of their legendaries at the same time. So you were never going to get like 17 copies of your demon hunter, but you could start farming this blade dancer that you just got 6 random copies of. And it's like, oh, I guess I'll upgrade that. And there was no way to like throw enough of them into laboratory of experiments. And so you just had an excess of everything. But that meant that you basically couldn't, there was no efficient way to upgrade anything specific. You just got a whole bunch of everything. The reason why it's the 74 count system specifically is because you needed 74 copies of that unit. In the current orb system, you still need 74 legendaries, but that is split between copies and magic orbs. Magic orbs that are generic currency for everything. You have magic orbs can be used to upgrade your Harley Quinn. They could be used to upgrade your Blade Dancer. They could be used to upgrade your Phoenix. It doesn't matter how you use magic orbs. You can use magic orbs for anything. And you need less copies of a specific thing. In my example, to upgrade my robot, right? I only need 5 copies of robot and then 7 magic orbs, as opposed to 12 robots. This is the difference between the system. You could use your 7 orbs to upgrade your robot, or if you had 7 orbs as well, you could instead upgrade a monk. I could upgrade this monk from 13 to 14 because I already have the 5 copies, as opposed to needing 12, where even though I have 10, I would only be able to upgrade it if I got 2 more copies to 14. Then I would need like 14 more copies in order to go from 14 to 15. The orb system is the same number. It's the same 74 number, but it's being split between generic currency and less copies. Less copies mean that you don't need to farm as much, and you can use generic orbs that you're getting from literally everywhere. You're getting you're getting 2 through the 7K store, because you can buy 2 right there. You're getting 5 from the lab. You can pay 500 gems per month to get 5 more. Theoretically, if you wanted to pay into events, you can get an orb there. If you wanted to get the season pass, you can get 3 more orbs here for 3 more trades. You get an orb right there. Every time you use a glutton chest, you are always given an orb unless you choose the other thing. You can get orbs through Laboratory of Experiments because that is an option there. When they took it out of Laboratory of Experiments, I had a problem with that, but they brought it back, so you can get an orb. You now have a chance of getting an orb there. You have a chance to get generic currency in so many different ways, and it's so much easier than even if they gave you 13 legendaries per season as just random, like, here, have 4 hexes, have 4 demonologists, have 5 meteors, right? The problem with that system was that then you needed experiment coins. So instead of needing magic orbs, now all of a sudden you need 1 million experiment coins in order to throw them into Laboratory of Experiments. And it just created a different problem. So I start saying, so you miss needing 74 copies of a unit. You miss needing 14 copies and then 15 copies and then 17 copies to upgrade something. And they said, but the rate which we got them was like 3 to 4 times, right? And yes, yeah, but in the way that I just explained to you, yeah, you're getting 3 to 4 times, but a lot of it didn't matter. It was the game like trying to make you upgrade other things that you didn't care about. That's a bit harsh. The amount needed, my point is that I wish it was just legendaries we needed, no orb system. So I said, the orb system alleviates needing 17 copies to upgrade a unit. The number is the number. They chose 74 as a total. If it was the old system, if it was the 74 copy system, the number would still be 74. That's a fact. The fact is, it's still 74 copies. And this person says that, okay, no. So, okay, but like I said above, it's not that I liked needing 74 cards. It's the fact that it was only legendaries needed. A good system in my eyes would get rid of the orb and increase the card requirement slightly. One second. Okay. The orb system alleviates needing 17 copies to upgrade a unit. The number is the number. They chose 74 as a total. The number has always been 74. Actually, the number was way more when it was before the Magic Crystal system, because there was a system before the Magic Crystal system that I believe was just copies, and it was, I think that was more than 74. And then they changed it to the Magic Crystal system, then changed it to the 74 count system, then changed it to the Magic Orb system. But like I said above, it's not that I like needing 74 cards, it's the fact that it was only legendaries needed. A good system in my eyes would get rid of the orbs and increase the card requirement slightly. So his system that he's trying to create is the 74 count system where all you need is copies, but he wants less copies than 74 copies, which, like I just stated, the 74 is the number that they've chosen. That's just the number that they've chosen. To upgrade a legendary from 7 to 15, the number that they have chosen is 74. Whether you need 74 copies or you need 40 copies and 34 orbs, the number is the number. Changing the number is a different system. We're no longer talking about orbs and copies. We're talking about just having less just to have less. And that is something that everybody could agree with, but that's not what they're doing. Because the number, factually, is the number. They could change it back to just copies, but then it would just be 74, and this person would still hate that it's so many. Or would he? So if they switch to the 74 copy system, you'd still hate it even though you like only legendaries needed. What's your question again? And so he said, can you read my chat before you respond? The amount of cards needed was rubbish, but the fact that it was an only card system was good. 74 is way far-fetched. Something less but still without orbs in the game would be better. You're changing the system at this point. I said, did you read my comment? The number is the number. It will always be 74. Wanting an only copy system and saying you want less copies changes the system entirely. Which means your argument is not that you like the copy system, you just want less in general. That's not the argument anymore. It's not an argument between, oh, I'm okay with getting 30 and, or I'm okay with 74 copies, or than I am more than I am with 30 copies and what adds up to 44 copies and 30 orbs. That's not even the 74 versus the 74 is not even the argument anymore. It's just I want less. What I said was that was my favorite stage of the game in terms of the mechanics. I liked not needing orbs, even though the legendary count was crazy. I said if you only needed one copy and one orb from 7 to 15, would that system be fine, or do you still hate that you need orbs? And so he's saying, hence I'm saying a system without orbs but not as many cards would be good for me. A system without orbs as well as not as many cards would be good for me. This isn't the argument. This is no longer, this is just, I want less because. This is not a question about orb system versus 74 count system. This is now an argument of, I just want stuff cheaper. It should just not be expensive. And that's a separate argument. This isn't an argument between the systems. This is, I just want less stuff. I just want it to be less. This is not an argument of the value of the value of the season pass at $12 and you no longer really get Book of Secrets. This is $11 is too expensive. It should be $5. That's a different argument. We're not arguing the value of a season pass with the original 3 pages of secrets as opposed to five, what are they called now? I can't even keep track of what they're called now. 5 star coins, because you need 4 season passes in order to equate a Book of Secrets, right? And that's $40. But like when it was Book of Secrets, you only needed $20. You needed to buy the season pass twice, and then you got a Book of Secrets. Now you need to buy it 4 times. The question is not the value of a season pass. The question is, I don't want it for $12. I want it for $5. And that's a different argument altogether. He asked me why I'm being pedantic. And so I said, I'll just let you believe what you want to believe. It's fine. It's weird to me when people have arguments like this. I'm sorry. His last thing was, cheers. This is what an opinion is anyway. And yeah, it's certainly an opinion. But an opinion is also, I think everything should be free. And I suppose if that's your opinion, it is an opinion, I suppose. And I'm just telling you as a YouTube content creator that this is my channel. I'm going to argue that that's not realistic. Everything should be free is not a realistic opinion. It can be your opinion, and you can say that everything in Rush Royale should be free, and it should be free because it's a game. It's a free to play game, and if everything isn't free, then it's not a free to play game. But it's also not realistic. And I will always come from, whenever I respond to anybody, the side of being what is realistic. What is being realistic is that the 74 count system, whether it be 74 copies or a mixture of 74 orbs and copies, or a 74 count copy of copies and orbs and crystals, or a 74 count system of orbs and copies and crystals and iridium. Like, they just created a new thing. It's called iridium. Every 1,000 common, epic, or rare units you can trade for iridium, and you can use iridium to upgrade your units instead of orbs and copies and crystals. Like, they might as well just do that. The number is the number. It will always be 74. Arguing that it should be less, you could make the orb system less. And it would still be better than the copy system. And even if they changed it back to the copy system and gave you more legendaries, then you just create a new problem. And the new problem that you'd create is, instead of needing legendary copies for orbs, and instead of needing so many trades for orbs, and instead of needing all of the every place that I just showed you, you can get orbs in for free. Season pass, right? Season pass, all, events, the magic lab, all of that would just change to experiment coins. And then you just have the same problem, but with a new name. Because then experiment coins would be the thing to have. Because now you would need so many experiment coins to exchange for nothing. You would need, what is it, like at max 5 times 3, you'd need 150 experiment coins to get a guaranteed trade on a legendary. Do you know how many experiment coins you would then need in order to exchange things that you don't care about? All 20 hexes that you're getting from your 13 per season? Like, it would just create the same problem, but different. And that's my point. My point is that it's the same thing. At best, it's the same thing. At worst, it's just a worse system. But at best, it's the same thing, and it's just a different problem. Wanting less is not realistic either, and that's a completely different argument. Oh, you shouldn't need 74 copies. You should need 30 copies in order to upgrade your legendary. That should be the system. It's like, that's a different argument. Because at that point, you could do 15 copies, 15 orbs, and that would be fine. Go from 7 to 15 on that. Let's do that. But that's not the argument. And if your argument is that you like the copy system more than the current system, I think that's crazy. Because that system was insane. But hey, that's just my opinion.